institutions wherein they gave loan and so forth. So what is that fund, the European Development Fund?
The European Development Fund, EDF for short,
Okay.
is a contribution from the EU member states to support African Caribbean states
Okay.
in their development process. So they have several EDF.
Okay.
So we are now in the 11th EDF. So just to go back a little bit, the National Authorizing Office of Liberia received its power in 2010.
2010.
After the crisis, yeah, so the powers were restored.
Okay.
Prior to that, the European Commission in Cote d'Ivoire was responsible to manage the affairs of the EDF on behalf of Liberia. So after negotiations, the power were restored. At the time, the National Authorizing Office was under the Ministry of Planning and Economic Affairs. But after the merger in 2015, the NAO automatically came under the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning.
Okay. So it's like what you have with the USAID. They have fund that they support, developing countries, countries that are fragile, or, countries struggling.
Yeah.
So that's a kind of fund that the Europeans have where they help, countries with their development programs. That means money they give is actually not loan, but instead grant, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
they give grants.
Okay.
If it has to be a loan, it has to be through the European Investment Bank.
Investment bank, yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for setting the basis. So now you have headed that office for a while now. Office that was established since 2010, and now under the Ministry of Finance and Development Plan. First of all, you've been the head of that. Are you hired by the European Union, or you are a Liberian civil servant? What role do you play there? Are you with the Europeans, or you are within the civil service?
Prior to the merger of Planning and Finance, we have majority of the staff who were contract staff.
Okay.
They were paid by the European Union. So because the European Union saw that there were staff turnover,
Okay.
we had breaks in our implementation of grant or support to the NAO office. And it was from that grant that we were paying staff. But then whenever the grant expires, there is this gap. So
Staff will be waiting
staff
now
will be waiting for
until there are new
for a new
program.
contract to be signed, new program before they can receive staff. So as a result of that, we have many staff being trained, and then at the end of the day, leaving for other better opportunities.
Because when they leave sitting, and then
Yeah.
somebody calls them.
Yeah, they leave.
They
So,
leave, okay.
so there was this negotiation with the ministry that
Okay.
the ministry absorbed all the staff as civil servants.
Okay.
So after the merger, all the staff of the NAO became civil servants. So we are all civil servants now.
Okay, that's great. So, the EU been with Liberia for a while now in different sectors. So currently, what are the programs, that are being implemented now through the European Development Fund in Liberia currently? What are the sectors that they are currently focusing?
In 2015, the government of Liberia and the European Union signed the National Indicative Program,
Okay.
and that program outlines the sectors that the EU will work in. And we have 4 sectors and other measures. We have energy,
Okay.
we have agriculture, education, and governance sector. So under the governance sector, that's where you have the budget support from the EU. EU provided budget support under the governance sector, and it came in trenches. And then we had GSC, support to GSC, under governance. And we also had support to the elections process.
Okay.
Well, that one has expired. The GSC also expired, as well as the budget support, because the program ran for 5 years, from 2014 to 2020.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but we still have some programs that are still running because some of them were signed late.
Okay, so
Yeah.
extension was done
Yes.
to complete it.
So that's for governance.
Okay.
And then for education, we have TVET, Technical Vocational Training Program with the Ministry of Education and Youth and Sports. So they are the sector ministry that are working along with the UNIDO to implement the project on the TVET, on the education sector.
With agriculture.
Agriculture, there we have fisheries, we have cocoa value chain, cassava program value chain, and support to NAFA.
Okay.
We also have support, technical support to Ministry of Agriculture.
Wow. Well, so what's the total portfolio of the different projects we're talking about? So the program currently being implemented in the ones
The entire amount for the NRP is 279 million euros.
229.
279.
279. Okay.
Yeah.
279
And-
euros. That's a big chunk of money. And that was for what, 5 years?
Yes, for 5
For
years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So then let's go to the specifics now. Okay, in agriculture, the support to agriculture, is the money taken and given to agriculture ministry to implement? Because sometimes when the Liberian people hear the EU is giving 279 million euro, the next day they see the agriculture minister, they are asking her what the money they gave you. You know, so is that money taken and given to agriculture to implement, or, you know, they themselves implement in the sector? How is it done? What's the modality?
Well, the support is done through international organizations.
Okay.
Yeah, except for the one that is done directly with technical assistance to the ministries or to NAFA.
Okay.
They work through international organizations. So we have Solidaridad.
So that which is
the
a French,
cocoa,
I think it's a French.
Cocoa, to run
French
the cocoa
organization.
value chain.
Okay.
And we have Wealth Concord Hive and other partners, SOA, Concern Worldwide. They're also in the agricultural area. They are implementing too on behalf of
The European Union.
European Union. And
So those contracts are given to the different organizations. What role does the NAO play? What role does the NAO play? Sorry.
Okay.
Are you the one who signed those contracts, or the European Union directly deal with them, go into the contractual agreements and so forth? How is it done?
So, with the agriculture sector, this contract is signed with the EU and the implementing partners. So the EU has two implementation modes: direct management and indirect management. So when it's indirect management, we sign directly with the contractor in the case of the electricity project.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So the indirect is what you
Yes.
are doing.
Yeah, we are doing.
And so that's only one sector that actually you have hands-on
We-
responsibility.
No, it's not only one. We have energy, and then we have other technical assistance, like I told you, GSC. We have
Okay,
GSC.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
there are
And then
other
the
contracts
budget
within-
support also.
Yes, and budget support. Yeah.
Okay. But then that's good. So let's look at agriculture. I know you may not be involved with the contracting or the arrangements, but the fact that you are the National Authorizing Office in Liberia, and the officer being the head of the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, but the fact that you are the director there, you are deputizing. Do you have some roles to see what they said they were going to do? You know, say we're going to work with 50 farmers. How do we verify that? You know, we'll work with 10 farmers. Because the reason why I'm asking, those are taxpayers' money that come to our country. But then when the money is announced, our country citizens expect that after those projects are being implemented, they must see, you know, the tangibles. You know, they must see how the money, what are the monies were being used actually, the way that is being said on the radio. You know, the radio got power. Once you announce that Liberia, the finance minister have signed, you know, 200 million grant agreement with the European Union, you know. So Liberians expect that sector, that the money being caught, you know, being signed for, the setup must change. But with time, sometimes we see that the impact are kind of very little. and then government seems to be blamed, especially when it doesn't even have direct, implementation power in terms of how the fundings are being allocated and who is doing what. So, what role do you play? Do you go and check with those organizations that are actually implementing, on behalf of the EU to see whether, they've actually living up to what they said they would have done?
So we are involved from the very beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, even if the EU is signing contract with the international partners, we are always involved from the inception,
Okay.
meaning from the design of the project, and during the implementation, we follow up, we monitor with the along with the line ministries, that are the sector ministries that are involved. And during the steering committee meeting, we make comments, we make recommendations on based on our field visits and things that we see that we need to correct. So the NO has a major role to play in there. So if there are things that we think we cannot handle at the technical level, we can raise it to the minister's office, and then the minister can take it up with the ambassador, the EU ambassador.
Okay, so you play a lot of supervisory role.
Yeah.
Okay, so that sounds really good, because the new aid, modalities now calls for that. The design should be. But I know we've had instances where initially, I know it's getting better now, wherein we had the portfolio review seeing to it that, the funding coming, the aid coming to the country are actually aligned with our, development program or agenda, which is the PAPD. Prior, we had some issue where some organizations here, there. Okay, so, but let's look at the sector like education. So what are we looking at in education? Where is the support going into the education sector? I know UNIDO is one of the implementing partner for the EU, but then we as government, we had to tell them what our priorities are. So where are the specific areas, that the EU is funding within the education sector?
The EU is funding technical vocational education. Like I said, from the inception, because we look at the country's national agenda, and based on that, the sector ministry and the EU will say, oh, okay, this is the area that I think we can go and to help the government achieve its agenda here. And so under the TVET, there are rehabilitation of multilateral institutions in the country, in the southeast, Sino, Cape Palmas, MVTC, PWR, and they are also training, they have trained some technical vocational teachers.
Okay.
Some teachers went for training to Zambia and South Africa last year.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
wow. So they come back and teach.
And
okay.
teach, yeah.
Okay.
Whatever they've learned.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's another component with the GSA.
GSA.
Yes, also
okay.
TVET, Team Driving program too, at an advanced level.
Okay. Wow, that's good. I remember attending one of the programs where UNIDO, they were about to, I think they were distributing computers to the teachers. And then at that program they announced that a good number of them, I don't know how many have gone, but I think they were targeting
around 55.
55 have left already the country to go and come back and teach at the multilateral. This is something big we need to make news about, wherein the different multilateral high schools, students leave from high school with skills. Okay, that's really pretty. Okay, of course, you're talking about support to the LACC and governance election commission.
So LACC was under the budget support.
Okay, under the budget support.
Condition, they had some triggers to meet.
So that is the issue that I wanted to talk about also that you just mentioned. Now, sometimes they said the people announced 50 million to the government. But he said, I'm talking about the budget support now. They come up with, some criteria, right? Or some triggers you have to meet and so forth. That is where, most times it's difficult. Sometimes the money doesn't get disbursed until the trigger met. If the trigger not met, So the new programs, are we still going to do it that way? Because sometimes it's kind of difficult to say you must pass. The law has to change. You have to, have another law. You have to have amendments. You have to, different triggers. Sometimes there are just so many that it's difficult to just meet all of them. So I don't know whether the new programs will be the same, but I think what is tied to the budget suppose sometimes it can be difficult, Mantu.
I think you're aware, there's a new program called Global Europe, the ETC. We're not going to have EDF anymore.
Oh no, yeah,
So,
okay. EDF going to be
yeah.
beginning which year?
It has ended,
Okay.
but we are continuing with projects that we signed off on the 11th EDF.
Okay.
So under the new program, there will be budget support. And what we learned in the past, the EU, under the leadership of the head of cooperation at the time, Theo Kasper, we introduced this dry run with
Okay.
MAX, Ministry Agencies and Commission.
Okay.
So
So
that
when you
we
say
can
dry run,
Dry run on their reporting,
okay,
on the indicators that they have to meet,
okay,
on what they're supposed to do to provide the information and in order to achieve those indicators, what they are required to do. Because if we don't achieve the indicator, obviously we miss out on some of the funding.
okay.
Like what happened in the last time, but we did not actually miss out because there was some money. We didn't reach certain targets, but that money was brought back to support the Corona emergency.
Emergency.
Yeah, we requested the EU to bring the money back to support that, which they did, and it was really, really commendable.
Okay, okay, that's good. But like you're saying, I hope that we have these conversations with them, with the new program.
Yeah, we need to
There'll be
sensitize the MAX,
the ministry agencies
agencies and
and
commissions,
commissions.
what they're required to do, so that we do not miss out on any amount, that is allocated for Liberia.
Because that-
the NTC, is different from the EDF. In this case, if you don't meet your target, it means we miss out on that amount for goods.
Wow,
Like,
it doesn't come back
No,
again.
it's not going to come back because maybe the EU will find other areas to send it. So we need to really work towards achieving all of our indicators.
Wow, and so that's why we have to be mindful of the indicators.
Yes.
Because when our people hear that $50 million have been announced, Liberia are going to get $50 million. And then they don't get to know that before you get that $50 million, there are many things you got to do for it.
Yeah.
So sometimes the money don't come because the many things, some of them are difficult to do. You understand? So I think we got to be careful this time so we don't say yes to all. And then, when time for meeting the targets, we cannot meet those targets, and then the funding go back, and in the end, people say, but y'all say you're going to do this, so the whole government accountable, wherein sometimes it's really difficult. So we got to be careful as to what, so when does that begin? The new program.
The new program. The new program started already in other countries.
Okay, I'm talking about
we're-
Liberia now.
Yeah, and we are a little bit late, but by this year we should already start seeing some results because we've already sent to the EU their areas of support, their priority areas.
Okay.
It has already been sent to the EU through the Deputy Minister's office.
Okay, we're talking about Minister Flomo.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Okay, so
talk about energy.
yes, so energy is the area. I wanted to leave it, because that's what the real meat is. Because that one you have a grip on it, you have control, you are directing, you are driving it.
Yes.
That's the one that it comes to you in terms of what to be done and so forth. So I just want to inform you, listeners out there, this is Economic Hour. It's right here on the Liberia Broadcasting System, 99.9 FM, but we have been relayed on several radio stations across Liberia, including OKFM in Monrovia, Radio Live in Zozo, Radio Kentoma in Vonjama, Lofa County, Radio Nimba in Sanukole, Radio Gompa, right? The voice of Gompa in Ganta City, Nima County. Smart FM is in Zredru. Of course, in Bon County, we have Radio Banga. And we have Super Bongis Radio, which is also being relayed by the voice of Batawi there. Of course, Kakata, we have Radio Joy Africa and Radio Kakata. So Bikano City Magic FM is also relaying us. So we have in studios with us Anthony Matus Kota T. Williams Bangalu. She is the director for the NAO. Of course, the director, she's a director, but also the deputy national authorizing officer of Liberia with the European Development Fund, the EU, who the EU has been a very long partner to us. So now we get to energy. Energy, of course, the demand for energy is very high. I think what we have now, if you look at the amount of energy we need, our energy needs, I'm told the last time I talked with some folks here, even in some of the energy meetings that you have attended, so we have not met more than 30% of the energy needs of this country. So it's still a big issue. And the EU, how many money the EU put in from this 279 million into energy?
The EU allocated 100 million for energy.
Out of the 279?
Yes.
Okay, 100 million.
So it has the biggest chunk of the NIP.
Wow.
National Integrative Program.
Okay. And so what are those specific things that the 100 million is being allocated or being used for?
We have so far contracted on the moreover consolidation of electricity transmission and distribution.
Okay.
So there are two components. The
so
transmission,
both to take the electricity on the pole where you see plenty wire on it.
Yeah, the transmission is from the hydro to Capital Bypass to Painesville, Congatan, and then to Painesville.
Okay.
That's for the transmission.
Okay.
And for the distribution is to connect
the homes.
Yeah, 38,000, but we went above that amount.
What, 38,000 homes?
Yeah, 38,000 customers.
Customers?
About 40,000 customers who connected.
40,000?
Yeah, another
wow.
distribution.
And those people have electricity now?
Yeah.
Okay.
They have electricity.
You gave them meters?
If you can recall, last year the president dedicated the Peace Island.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they turned on the lights in Peace Island.
Wow.
And we commissioned the new substation behind the Congo Town, behind the Kalano guest house.
Okay.
Okay, that is the old one was demolished and a new one was built.
So is that one
was commissioned by the president to around October?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's part of the energy project.
Yeah, that's part of the energy. But not just that. Under the Moreover Consolidation Project, we were able to train some interns. We brought some intern students from the University of Liberia and Stella Maris Polytechnic. About 40 students.
You're talking about engineers?
Civil engineering, electrical engineering students, yeah.
Okay.
So they were part of the program.
Why did you train them?
They wanted to have practical experience. They were in the classroom. They had a theoretical experience. They had the knowledge theoretically, but they needed to have some hands-on experience. And so it also helped too because these students, they were also working along with the LEC. Okay, to do some work. We had a certification program in September, end of September, and most of them, if you listen to their testimony, some of them have jobs now, some of them are entrepreneurs, and they really appreciated the program. So, in fact, we have another program, another support for the Southeast, and we're talking with our colleagues from the EU to continue similar support under that program. Because you really see that when the students in the past, when they graduate from school, they don't have any practical experience.
Okay.
They don't know how to run the cables and all of that. But they were opportune to have this experience, and they really appreciated it.
Wow, that's really great. Because I saw from the very beginning of the electricity, rehabilitation, talking about more coffee, coming to transmission lines, even distribution. We saw a lot of foreigners, initially, Ghanaians, and, they came to help. Of course, they made a lot of money. That we should say. They came to help us, but they made a lot of money in the companies and so. But right now, especially for the distribution, I see a lot of Liberians now. So it's because of that program that we see a lot of Liberians now doing their own stuff.
Yeah.
Wow, that's good, and I agree with you. We should think about actually taking the same program to the southeast.
Yes.
So the southeast, the southeast. What are the areas that we intend to connect and so forth?
So again, under the 100 million allocated to energy, we have 42 million there for the rural electrification in the southeast.
Okay, and what are the specific areas in the southeast?
It will run from Buchanan.
Okay.
Okay. That will
Transmission line?
Distribution transmission and distribution in Buchanan, because it will be connected to the CRSG line, the Transco line in Buchanan, because there's a substation there, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, and then we will be going to Greenville.
Sino.
Yeah, Sino, to mini hydro on the Sino River.
Okay.
And solar program too. There will be solar system also. And
as it is in Toronto.
Yes.
Okay.
And in Barclayville.
Barclayville, that's
solar,
Grand
yeah,
Crew.
Yeah, it will also be solar system too in Barclayville. So that's for the 42 million euros. But that program will be starting hopefully this year. Or we in fact we've just completed the feasibility studies.
Okay.
Yeah, for Buchanan the distribution and network.
Okay.
So that report is ready with the EU. EU contracted some consultants to come into feasibility study, to include Buchanan in that network. And so we are hoping to start the launch of tender this year, the first quarter of this year.
So are we hopeful that before the year ends, if all goes well? Because now you have, this is on your own lab, because the others are with the EU directly.
And this is
this one is indirect. Implementation, that means the government itself through the NAO, is the officers there are actually doing the implementation. Because the Buchanan people can't wait. Let me say this, because the SEZ, the Special Economic Zone, Special Agricultural Zone will be also there. Processing zone will have it there for people who are involved with manufacturing, for example. So we want to grow this economy, but without energy, industrialization of Africa would not be a reality if we cannot solve the energy problem. Now, one problem is on your lab. You say we got the money, but you got to push them to make sure that those processes. So, are the people because they're listening right now, are they assured that before the year ends, they will see something happening? Light might be on in some of the homes there, because the car already sitting down there at the substation. The CSG substation.
Yeah, so this year we intend to hit the ground running with this.
Okay.
So it's just one thing that is holding up, because, when we signed this financing agreement initially, we had some issues. There were some institutions that were part of the agreement, and then they declined. So to revise this agreement, and the money that was there for this institution, NEFCO, to partner with the EU to do this program, we asked the EU to include Buchanan in the network, because Buchanan was not included, so that the money would not, go back. And to do that, we have to send the financing agreement for amendment, to Brussels, we call it rider to the financing agreement.
Okay.
So we received
It's
information.
Brussels, you're talking about the EU capital.
Yes, to Brussels. So recently we got information that it has passed various levels, and we are hoping to receive it this month. And once we receive it, that's why I said all of the tender
You have
documents
prepared
already.
the documents already?
Yes, we have prepared all the documents already.
Yeah,
And
waiting.
this one, our EA is on it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
They are going to be the main sector, the main agency responsible for, following up on this because it's in a rural area. So we're working closely.
Talking about the Rural Renewable Energy
Yes, rural
Agency.
renewable, yeah. So we've been in close contact and consultation with the director there and working along with them for us to play our part while we are with the EU to send the final document.
Okay, but then that's good. I think the people of Buchanan should be happy, as it is with us in Bon County. You would not even believe, Eskiti, my hometown, electricity is there, and I feel comfortable. So I leave my generator resting now. When I go home every weekend, I don't have to be worried about electricity. Banga now has electricity, So I think those who say Liberia, nothing is happening here, you got to open your eyes to hear what she's saying, to see what's happening on the grounds, even to go to my farm. So I don't know whether the EU, this new program will include roads and so forth, because to go to my farm now on the Lofa Road, I drive on the, paved road, alpha pavement, all the way to Windshoe, then I branch out to the village. That's something that we see happening in other areas. So I don't know, this new program, what are the areas that we expect to focus on? Do you have an idea, or has that been concluded?
Well, from what I've seen, and based on discussions, the new program is focusing on agriculture, forestry, biodiversity, and governance on the budget support.
Yeah, but agriculture should come with roads, because farmers will never get money. I'm a farmer. I'm telling you, I'm happy because to leave from Eskiti all the way to Windshoe before branching to my village, of course, so we should stay a farm to Market Road. It used to be very difficult, but I think like less than 5 minutes from Bangana, a place I used to spend almost 50 minutes from Bangana to Windshoe, now you spend less than 5 minutes, you are in Windshoe. So if you have the agricultural activity taking place and the farmers cannot take the produce from their farms to the market, they still get discouraged, or getting involved with farming. I think that's one of the major challenges. I went in the Southeast Mantle, in Grand Jide, for example, there's a place called Peletown. I went and met almost 30 to 40 bags, the Balawala bags of beta ball and pepper. No car to bring it. And the people are telling us, you're Teso, you're carrying. They even said it, but they are discouraged that they are, they got it. But again, works are going on. Okay, the top bill, the government is doing a lot there, and so forth. Yeah, so
talking about road, I think you're aware of what the Locato.
Sanikole to Locato.
Sanikole to Locato Road. The EU also has some money in there.
Okay.
With AFDB.
Okay.
So from our NIP, our National Indicative Program, 6 million was allocated to that road project.
Wow! And I tell you, that road I was on that road with the ambassador. Did you go with us?
No.
Okay.
We have high level visitation.
Yeah, Laurent Delahou was there. A lot of ambassadors. So the American ambassador. Well, that road. That's a lot of work going there. So very soon, Nimba as a county will be connected. Of course, it heads towards Grand Jida and so forth. Well, that's great. Okay, we are Economic Hour here. And then we are here with Anthony Mantus Kotati Williams Bangalu. She's the director, of course, for the National Authorizing Office here in Monrovia. But it is a unit under the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning. Now, the new program you talk about agriculture, okay? Value addition is very key. Farmers, they produce, but I think one of the problems they had, they just produce the raw material, no value addition. So those who add the value make money. So is that all part of the program? Because I know the cassava program that's currently under the EU. I think a company from I think Ghana, Syria from Ghana, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a regional program.
Okay.
Cassava Transformation Project, and they're doing some work with the local farmers to help to make their products competitive for
Okay.
international markets, and helping them how to be more efficient and how to add value and quality to the products that they produce.
So that is happening in how many counties? And how many beneficiaries, if you have a rough number? No, not being specific, probably. How many
They're
counties?
dealing with farmers.
Farmers.
Yeah.
So, but how many counties are they having the program? I know they're in the southeast.
Yeah, they're in the southeast.
Okay. So I know
okay.
they should be in Maryland.
Yeah, they're in Grand Chile,
Grand Chile
they're
too.
in River G.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So adding value to cassava for exportation, to export. Wow, that is great.
So
And-
that's part of the regional envelope that the EU is putting money into.
okay.
Yeah, so as it's been done here, it's been done in other West African countries.
Wow. Okay. So
Yeah. We want to talk about the transport.
yeah. So let's talk
Yeah.
about it.
There is support under the regional program, support to the Ministry of Transport.
What are we doing specifically with the Ministry of Transport?
It's asset load control. So the EU provided some technical assistance to the Ministry of Transport, and then we procured under that project. We procured 4 vehicles,
Four vehicles.
4 hard-body pickups, and then in motion scales. So the scales is like a pilot project to where vehicles are applying the main corridors, the international routes,
Okay.
like Port Waterside Road, Buchanan Road, the main corridors of Liberia, and then the Kanta corridor. So the staff of the asset control unit within the Ministry of Transport were trained to operate this equipment. Which
The
they are-
body equipment.
Yeah, EU bought the equipment, which they are now using. So they are placed on the vehicles and carried on the 3 corridors that I just named
Okay.
to weigh vehicles, because in fact they disclose that there are lots of vehicles plying the streets, plying the roads at night, and
Overloaded?
overloaded. So we're able to produce some statistics about the total number of vehicles that are plying the routes.
And when the vehicles are overloaded, they
They
depreciate, they
damage-
damage the
The
roads
Yeah.
very fast.
So it's a means of maintaining these roads, these major roads, these corridors.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I think that's a great one. You saw that's 4 vehicles bought by
And
the
3,
EU.
and 3 weigh-in motions.
Okay,
It's
okay,
called
so-
weigh-in motion. It's scales that you put on the road. When the car passes, it tells you how many tons of load that vehicle is carrying.
Especially the ones that come from the Ivory Coast and Guinea side. Those vehicles can be overloaded. And I can be worried. I say, how could I will put it as well to spend 25 years? They might spoil. And I think transport should be working with the Ministry, I call it the Ministry of Justice through
Yeah.
the LMP, because those kind of vehicles should not be plying the street with the kind of load they carry. Because when they spoil the road, then we'll start crying again, government fill the road.
Yeah.
So forth. Okay, so I think at this point we will want to interact with the public, but I just want to inform you that she talked about how much the European Union has put into the different energy projects, as well as the different sectors that they're working through, NGOs. But the stealing current, we can't be doing it. If we steal current, it means we denying ourselves to get electricity, because they have run our waste time. By the time you can pay their money, they cut you up, bam, and we don't want that. So anybody you see stealing current, report it. Report it. If you don't report it, you yourself will get affected when the people cut us off because we can't pay their money. Anybody you see stealing current, call the police, call the LEC people. They will go there. I see them going everywhere. People are disconnecting themselves. That's patriotism. We can't build the country with stealing current. It's not good for us. So at this point, we'll begin to take calls on 080-514-096. 080-514-096. That's the number that puts you through here this morning on Economic Hour. Good morning.
I'm Philip Norrington Jr. I come from Tubman Bay, Pommy County. Let me commend your student here. She was very explicit in her exposition. I think these are professional and Liberian. I thank the Ministry of Development Planning for the great job done through her office to make sure that all those financial best practices are put into place that will attract more funding from the EU. And she's spoken a whole lot of good things about the economy in the agriculture sector, teachers, the environment money should come back and want to be to the human, the builder of country. I think if any country is to develop, these are areas we got to look at. So I just start them on your back.
Thank you, my dear brother. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, your name, where are you calling from?
I'm Gabriel Download calling from River, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, my brother.
Thank you so much for the program, but
Daniels, let's go ahead. What happened? Hello? Oh, this man's calling from River says, yeah, you know. Good morning.
yeah, good morning, Sal.
Yes, sir. Your name and where you calling from?
This is Emmanuel Tamata. I do hit the Magabo of Bangabon County.
Son of Phoebe. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, let me firstly appreciate your student guys for her deliberation, but my interest has to do with the TVET program. We don't know how this central bill will be, part of the process because we have Dodokorong Buffet, multilateral high school here, but it has the name, but when you come on ground, you can see the physical multilateral that we're talking about. There's no equipment that high school students from this school will train on and have the skills. So what is the team doing in order for French Nigeria to benefit from this TVET program?
Thank you very much, man. She's. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I'm down there again, Gabriel from River, sir.
Yeah, go ahead quickly. You're locked.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the program this morning. But the issue of River, sir, we're going to hear our country need and we have a come back, so we have a sound, we have all our country, but we're going to hear our country need why.
No, we're coming there. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We're coming there. The Riverside broadcasting system will be included. Don't worry. Good morning.
Hello?
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, your name and where you calling from?
I'm Ezekiel J. Mafana Komenu as the civil art Bella Boy, and I join you from Riverside City this morning.
Go ahead, my brother.
Yeah, I want to say a big thank you to you guys in studio for the topic on the discussion. I want to say thank you to the lady in studio. But she said so many things that really, it makes us to feel happy this morning. But I really want to know when it comes to the AU aspects of this money that they are putting in the government sectors with vocational schools be built within Riverside because we had a vocational school here years back called Fawi. But since Fawi left, we don't have any again, and everyone are just here vulnerable. There are people who are willing to be part of this skill training, but there is no way we cannot get a vocational school. I really want to know if it will be Scotland here.
Okay, thank you very much. I think the concerns are taken. 080-514-096. That's the number to call on the program this morning. This is Economic Hour. It's a program from the Department of Economic Management at the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm okay, my dear brother. Your name and where are you calling from?
This is Joe Wellington Water Thomas, and I'm calling from Tukang Road. I'm a young activist.
Go ahead, brother.
So thank you very much to your studio guest. She has said everything. She has said it all. She has really, really impressed and given us the information. So I'm volunteering my services and a group of young Liberians that are very interested in increasing national patriotism. So I want to suggest and recommend that these information about national efforts to solve some of the critical challenges that will promote the growth of our country to be put into like a fact sheet, readable, very understandable, so that we as a volunteer, I'm an activist, I want to support and contribute to this effort to take the information to the community level, to let other citizens who are the common Liberians who are not informed about these information to appreciate this effort that government is making. So very, very impressed with these information. And lastly, I would like for the leadership or the structure to really monitor the implementations and the follow-up of these.
Thank you. I think you made a certain point. Good morning.
Hello?
Yeah, good morning. Where are you calling from?
My name is Emmett Chilate, and I call from a Pincher resident.
Go ahead, my brother.
Well, let me first thank your studio guests that we really show up as Liberians to protect our own. A lot of good things has been happening in our country over the past years, but when it comes to our own involvement as citizens, that is where we have the problem. And every time we shape the own government and other institutions, knowing that we ourselves as citizens are not doing well.
Okay, thank you very much. That's in patriotic call. Good morning.
And good morning to the ELBC family, and good morning to the Cultural Mother Liberia.
Hilton, good morning.
My name is Ibrahim Podete from Mojosetu, and I call from the headquarters of the Intelligence Bureau on the most talk about Africa this morning. Let me appreciate you guys information to the public. I think this information is going to disseminate information, the correct information at the right time, bring hope to the public. I want to really take note from the studio guests, the issue of power tech. I think as a good citizen of power tech and issue that will bring growth and development to our country and not play current view a good one.
Oh, we can't get here. I think he's encouraging people to pay current bill. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, Nima, where are you calling from?
This Ruben Ghana.
From Ghana. Ruben.
Yeah, I say this Ruben Ghana from Kabagam.
Okay, go ahead, Ruben.
Appreciate you. Let's appreciate you for this particular program. Power tap is a system to every Liberian. And I think senators should place on those who want to bring down of the government. For the fact that we Liberians, electricity is life. But if that is story, you will see that the negative part of it will reach on the government and the people of Liberia. I think it is for government to have a penalty for those who are involved so that it can be repeated as we have been living in such an illusion. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We can't take all the calls. We're sorry to say that we can't take all the calls, so those who couldn't come through will get them the next time. Okay, so let's now go to Mantle. You heard a lot of commendation. In fact, people are saying that this kind of information, they've not been able to get information as they are getting now. So we should put into fact sheets. In fact, some groups are already volunteer so that they will take it to Liberian people and tell them what's happening. But there are a few questions. The one has to do with what the EU is thinking about river says. The guys are very specific about river says. Is that in the pipeline? The multilateral schools, that we have where the vocational section would be. Is Riverside included? Because I was told that the 15 counties were being looked at to have it each in a county at least.
Yeah. So I think that's something that we can look at. The Ministry of Education, Minister Suni, he's been in contact with the EU. They've been having these kind of discussions. So the multilaterals institutions that we named earlier were the ones that were selected under the EDF.
Okay.
And I'm sure there will be continuation of support on the education also.
Okay.
So Minister Soni and our principal, the Minister of Finance, we can make the case for inclusion of other multilateral institutions in the country.
Okay, that's good. What's about the central region? Specifically, someone called from Banga asking as to whether there will be the support to the multilateral institutions, whether there will be equipment for, practical and so forth.
Yeah, the programs that are going on now, they have equipment as part of the package for the program. So they are rehabilitating the multilateral institutions, and as well as putting in equipment.
Okay, wow, that's good. So we kind of out of time now. Time is man's worst enemy. So what's your parting comment before we call it a day?
Well, let me thank you, Minister Sal, for this program. I listened to most of the callers. Let me say thanks for your commendation. And one issue they raised about the feasibility, I mean, talking about these things, I think it's good. So we also at the NAO have realized that we have talked to the EU to do a documentary
Okay.
of the EU portfolio in Liberia from the 10th EDF to the 11th EDF.
And even maybe what a magazine or
Yeah,
newsletter.
we will include fact sheets
Okay.
for the public,
That's
and
good.
one of the caller mentions about that.
Okay.
So it's a continual process. I hope we continue this kind of conversation to inform the public about what the EU is doing in Liberia.
Thank you very much. She's the director for the NAO. We brought her here on Economic Hour. She's a staff of the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, and to the Mantles, Kotati Williams, Bangalu, she's very smart. Antonia Law. You see, Liberia got all the skills, I should say that. Until next week, I have been James Double Nakula Sao, who actually sat in the seat this morning. We'll be back here.